I'm delighted to introduce Tony Amberg, a psychiatric nurse practitioner at Northwestern Medicine, who leads resilience groups for frontline healthcare workers there and works closely with our practice. Now I turn it over to you, Tony.
Well, hello, colleagues, wherever you are and whatever it is that you do. I'm delighted that you chose to join me today. I first started doing resilience work with our staff at Northwestern just about a year ago as the pandemic was rolling in. And what I saw happening, first of all, was that we needed a way for people to communicate with their patients about what was happening. And we looked at the principles of what to do in a natural disaster, because that's really what COVID has been, hasn't it? I mean, it's been a natural disaster, complicated by people, of course. So what do you do when there has been an avalanche, an earthquake, a landslide, a tornado? And so those kinds of principles really apply to what we've been through. And I might add, going through a war, going through a famine, because we have been fighting a war. And I want to say that I think that metaphor is apt, because no matter what we do, whether you're in healthcare or you're a parent, or you're just going about your business and wanting to be loving to your family, what we've learned is that every decision matters. Every decision has consequences. And we know that when sometimes we make decisions that if they wound up getting us infected, then either bad things could happen to us or equally as badly to someone we love. I will tell you also that I had COVID myself, and it was quite an experience. I was a guest of our fair hospital for a week, and I learned some pretty important lessons from that as well. I had to put into effect everything I was telling other people to do, and I can tell you that it does work. In the time since then, since I've started doing this work, I've had contacts with over 3,500 participants in groups in the Northwestern staff across the continuum, from people who draw blood to people who are nurses, to people who work in administration, people who work with outpatient, and it's really been quite a magnificent experience. I also do some of this work in my own private practice. That's how I know Dr. Warren and the Oasis Wellbeing Center. And if you want information about the writing that I've been doing about well-being, you can find it on my blog, alantonyamberg.com. In the blog there, what you'll find is the collection of the pieces that I've been writing for healthcare providers about different topics related to resilience and how we can get through it. But it's also good for others too. We look at things like hope and curiosity. We look at choice and making meaning. And we look at how we fit in the grand scheme of these events. So it's been a war. We know that the enemy attacking has been killing and making ill our friends and family members. And we know that everything we've done has been necessary to beat back the enemy. And finally, it seems like maybe we're on the right track to beating it back, and hopefully beating it back in a way that's more permanent. And we know that being in a war brings out the strongest aspects of people. It's brought out our best. It's brought out our worst. It's brought out just about everything. And mostly what it's done is meant that everything we thought we knew and could count on has sort of systematically been shown to be fragile or untenable or not true, or sometimes more true than we ever thought possible. So what I'm going to invite you to do today with me is to take a moment, either standing or sitting, and we're going to do some stretching. We're going to do a progressive relaxation. And then as we continue to breathe deeply, I'm going to lead you through a meditation. And I want to remind you that if you fall asleep in this, that's good. I consider it a compliment. You probably needed it. But I also want to let you know that a lot of times we get through the day on anxious energy, right? And remember that there's a couple of kinds of anxiety. There's adaptive anxiety that helps us do things well. And then there's the maladaptive anxiety. And I think sometimes we burn on that just because it feels good and helps us get things done. We kind of scare ourselves into doing what we need to do. And that energy burns us out over time. That energy leads us to have our cortisol levels too high, right? And the cortisol is the response to stress. That energy leads us to feel depleted. And so what I invite you to do is go through this experience with me. And then when you come out of it on the other side, ask yourself the question, can you coast on that energy? Can you coast on the energy of getting things done, of moving quickly without rushing, of seeing if you can focus without forcing? Can you just melt through obstacles instead of giving them the heave-ho? And as we begin this, I'd like to just remind you that the best example of this is our heart, right? Our heart beat billions of times in our lifetime. But if you examine the structure of a heartbeat, you discover that only a third of it is the contraction, and 2/3 of it is rest and recuperation. So what does that mean? We think of the heart as being working steadily and never getting a break. And we do that to ourselves, don't we? Working constantly, never getting a break, right? So, but if you look at the heart, if you live to be 90, it means your heart is only working for 30 of those years. And for 60 of those years, it's on vacation. Now imagine if we generalize that example to the rest of our bodies, right? Imagine if we could figure out how to work and rest. And that is going to be the challenge I pose to you today. So let's put ourselves into a relaxed state. If you've been sitting all day, I invite you to stand with me. If you have been standing or you just feel tired, please sit. Do what is best for you. If you're standing, what I'd like you to do is stand in what we would call a Tadasana pose in yoga. Your hips are about 2/5 apart. Your feet are about hip width. That's 2/5 apart. Try not to stand too wide or too narrow. Check your knees to make sure they're a little bit soft. Make sure that your pelvis is not tilting forward. We tend to do that a lot. We're looking at our phone, we're looking at screens. Notice what happens. I tilt forward, my chin sticks out, my butt sticks out, my knees lock. So try to just stand with the knees a little soft, the hips, the tailbone pointing down toward the floor, shoulders roll back and down and hang off the spine, and the top of the head is high, not the chin. If you're sitting, sit all the way back in the chair. Lower the chair so your feet can be flat on the floor. What you'd like to do is have the chair and floor completely hold and support you. Good. Lots of directions there. What I'd like you to do is now move with me. I want you to just drop into your body a little bit. Breathe in. Lift with that breath. Let your breath lift an arm up. And then exhale to just relax over to the side. There's no goal here. Don't try to go too far. Breathe in. Long, slow breath to come up. Exhale. Lower down. Let that arm and shoulder relax. Breathe in. Lift your other arm up toward the sky. Exhale. Just relax over to the side slightly. Breathe in to come up and relax. Let it hang. Let's go both hands up. Open wide. As you exhale, open your heart to the heavens. Breathe in to come up and exhale. Let it hang. Let's do that a little faster. Bring one arm up and exhale to just relax to the side. Breathe in. Let it go. Breathe in. Other side. Exhale. Just feel your side grow longer. Breathe in and let it go. It helps if you sigh it out. Breathe in, both arms up. Exhale to open. Breathe in and sigh. Let it go. One more time, both hands up. Open your heart to the heavens. Breathe in and let it go. What I'm going to invite you to do is breathe in to lift your head up on your neck. Exhale, move your neck around gently. Breathe in to lift the head. And exhale, let your head roll forward just a little bit. Just a little bit. Breathe in and exhale your head ear to one shoulder just a little bit. If you go too far, it'll hurt. Breathe in. Head comes up. Shoulder to the other side on the exhale. Breathe in. Pause for a moment and just see, how do you feel now? How is your energy starting to change? And notice how far you were able to go with your neck. If you could only go a little ways, that's a sign of the tension you're carrying in your neck and shoulders. So tonight, I want you to go home and say to your beloved, "Beloved, I have discovered that there is tension in my neck and shoulders. Please take care of it." And your loved one who is watching cable TV and drinking a beer and not paying attention to you, say again, "Beloved, I want you to know that I have had a tough day fighting a war against the pandemic. Please rub my neck and shoulders." Try it. Let me know how it works for you, okay? So now, moving on. I'd like you to breathe in with your shoulders, roll them back and down on the exhale. Breathe in. Again, let your shoulders just come down your spine. Add the arms with each inhale. Pretend you are a bird waking up her wings for the first flight of the day. Each gets bigger. Inhale, exhale. Come to full wingspan as you fill with breath. Exhale. And breathe in. And exhale. And breathe in. Feel your wings soar on the breeze. Exhale. This time, breathe in with a slight twist to one side. Exhale. Check your knees. Make sure they're not locking. Breathe in to the other side. Exhale one more time with a twist. Breathe in and twist. Breathe in and twist. If you're standing, what I'd like you to do is make circles with your knees and your hips, first one way, then the other. If you're sitting, I'd like you to lift one leg up and circle your ankles, first one way, then the other. If you're standing, hips and knees, circle the other way. If you're sitting, raise one leg up, the other leg this time, circle your ankle one way, and then the other way. Good. Come back to standing or sitting. Readjust yourself. How do you feel? Breathe nice and long and slow and deep. Yes, that's good. All right. You can feel the energy changing in the group already. So now what I'd like you to do is, if you're sitting again, bring your back up against your chair. Make sure the butt is all the way back. Feet flat on the floor. And I'd like you to relax into your chair, into the floor. And if you are standing, knees are slightly relaxed. Remember, the floor is holding you completely. Let gravity take over the rest. And I'd like you now to try breathing on your own pace and your own time. Nice, long, slow breath. In, out. For some people, that might be a count of 3 in. For others, it might be a count of 4. For still others, it might be a count of 6. But see if you can get in the habit now of nice, long, slow breaths. There you go. You might feel some anxiety. Your thoughts, probably today, you've been prioritizing and structured, and so on and so forth. And I invite you to allow this time of breathing now to be unprioritized, unstructured. You're not breathing with me. You're breathing on your own. Let your thoughts start to just dissipate. If you're thinking, just say thinking and come back to the breath. The longer and slower you breathe, the more you will relax. And so I'm going to give an image with each in-breath. Today is a day that is a harbinger of spring. It's sunny, it's light, it feels like spring is on the way. And indeed, it is less than 2 weeks off. So as you breathe, I want you to breathe in the spring that is coming. And what is spring? Spring is the awakening of life that has been dormant in us. You're breathing in that energy that is starting to wake up. New hope, new beginnings. The sap rises in us just as it rises in the trees. It's generative. It's creative. Remember that animals are starting to build their nests. Flowers are starting to bud. And so we too are emerging from a time of dormancy and cruel winter into a new generative period. So breathe that in with every breath. Exhale things that don't serve you anymore. I've noticed it among the healthcare providers I work with. What I've noticed is that things were terrifying for a long time. And now we've learned to adjust to this. We know what to do to stay safe. We just do it. It's a matter of course. Just like every other disease that we were facing before. And so ask yourself, as you come out of the winter of the pandemic, can you let go of the anxiety and terror you built around this? Can you just slide into a comfortable new normal? Can you breathe out the effort it took to make this shift? And now let that go. Can you breathe out the busyness, the exhaustion, the extra thoughts? With each in-breath, feel it coming into your nose, this beautiful bright energy. Feel it brightening your sinuses. And each available exhale is an opportunity to let the smoke, the soot, the ash come up and out of our lungs. Breathe in to let your mind be invigorated and softened. We're exhausted from the last year. This is your opportunity to be the Tesla plugged into the charger, recharging. Let your mind energize and relax. Let your eyes relax into their sockets, softly coming down into those beautiful pillows that hold our eyes. And let your ears relax down the sides of your head. Let the need to pay attention to everything around you relax. And let your face start to grow long. Let your eyebrows relax down your forehead. Let go of that worried look, that concentration. Let your jaw grow long and heavy. Let your tongue lie heavy on the floor of the mouth. If you feel like yawning, that's a good thing to do. Let the energy relax your throat, relax your voice. Your voice is how you show up in the world, and you need do nothing now to show up. Let gravity take your shoulders, roll them back one more time and see if they can go further down your spine. Let them become heavy. Let your upper arm give in to gravity and become heavy. Let your lower arm give in to gravity. Let your heart fill with breath, shining and bright. Let your heart relax and recharge. Let your lungs breathe freely and easily. All year we've been fighting a disease of breathing. How wonderful to breathe. And in our last few moments together, I want you to consider a possibility. The possibility is that wars come and go. Plagues come and go. Winter comes and goes. Storms come and go. It has been a huge, unbearable burden this last year, except we bore it. It has been draining and depleting, except we found the energy to do it. We found kindness where we thought there was none. And in this war, we have seen the absolute best and the absolute worst of people. What can we do to keep finding the best? Keep searching and looking for people, and they're probably right around you, to look up to, as they look up to you, as we find that we made it through this plague. Changed for sure, wiser, I hope more grateful. I know certainly when I came out of the hospital, I was more grateful. I'm so grateful for the people I've met and seen. So grateful for the courage that ordinary people have shown just to go on. So grateful for the ways people have survived the toughest of circumstances and mourned for the ones who didn't. Breathe into the spring, a spring full of vaccines, a spring full of flowers and birds, a spring of being with our families again and learning what was really important. Take just a few more deep, rich breaths as you stretch up. Isn't it amazing that nearly a half hour has passed so quickly. Thank you for taking time to be with me. And as I said, if you'd like to know more about my resilience work, please check out my website, alanTonyAmberg.com. Please take this goodness you have given yourself for the rest of your day and be kind. It's the gift that gives back.